US President Donald Trump has declared India will be paying a tariff of 25% plus a penalty for its energy and defense partnership with Russia, starting on August 1st. The message was shared in capital letters and dripping with the characteristic Trumpian urgency.
India is preparing to face higher U.S. tariffs between 20 and 25%. Is that what you're tracking, or what do you think the rate will be for India?
That they are going to pay 25%.
That India is preparing to face higher U.S. tariffs between 20 and 25%.
Yeah, I think so. Look, they're my friends, and he's my friend. And, they ended the war with Pakistan at my request, and that was great. And Pakistan did also. We did a lot of great settlements, including the recent one, as you know, with Cambodia, blah, blah, blah. So that was a great one. I think that's been pretty well finalized now, right?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Did I do a good job on that one? I did a good job in about 5 different wars. You think I'll get credit for it? No. So, will I get credit for it? You'll say yes. No.
Is the deal with India finalized?
No, it's not.
Okay. So what rate are you expecting?
Well, we're going to see. We're going to see. But India's been a good friend. But India has charged basically more tariffs than almost any other country. You know that, right? Over the years. But now I'm in charge, and you just can't do that. I think the trade deals are working out very well, hopefully for everybody. But for the United States, they're very, very good.
The Trump administration accuses India of unfair trade practices, from sky-high tariffs to stringent non-monetary trade barriers, and of continuing to do big business with Moscow, even as the West pushes to isolate Russia over the war in Ukraine. And for Indian exporters, from pharmaceuticals to auto parts to precious gemstones, the costs could be catastrophic. Currently, India enjoys access to the lucrative US market with relatively competitive rates. But with the 25% wall looming over its key exports, and with Trump hinting at even higher penalties, those gains could evaporate overnight. Auto parts, gold, electronics, pharmaceuticals, all poised to become significantly more expensive for American buyers. And that could push India to the edge of losing hard-won market share, not just in the US, but across global supply chains already under stress. Exporters in Mumbai, Ahmedabad and Chennai are already feeling the pinch. Buyers in the United States, unsure of the final tariff rates, are freezing new orders. The vital fall-winter export season, which runs from October to March, is suddenly in limbo. And the ripple effects are already spilling beyond America. As US-China trade tensions escalate, Chinese manufacturers are flooding European markets with heavily discounted goods. This leaves Indian suppliers squeezed out not just in the US, but across Europe too. It's a global game of dominoes, and India's trade balance is teetering. So what's being done? India and the US have already held 5 rounds of intense negotiations. A 6th is scheduled for mid-August, when an American delegation lands in New Delhi. Commerce Ministry insists progress is being made, calling the talks fantastic. But the clock tells a different story. There's still no deal. It wasn't supposed to be this way. When Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Washington earlier this year, shortly after Trump's second-term inauguration, the optics were promising. Hugs, handshakes, and headlines spoke of deepening ties. Yet, 6 months on, the reality is starker. Tariffs are rising and the trade relationship is stuck in neutral. One of the biggest sticking points, agriculture. Washington wants India to open its market to American dairy products and genetically modified crops like soybeans and corn. But for India, these sectors are politically sensitive, the backbone of rural livelihoods and food security. Indian farmers, many owning small plots of land, are seen as the soul of its electoral base, sacrificing them at the altar of foreign trade is not a price the government is willing to pay. India has pushed back, suggesting gradual quota-based access, like in its recent deal with the UK. But for Washington, that's not fast enough. Then there's the elephant in the room, Russia. President Trump's tirade wasn't just about tariffs. He also blasted India for its deepening military and energy ties with Moscow, pointing out that India remains Russia's top arms buyer, and along with China, one of its largest energy customers. All things not good, Trump said bluntly, linking trade penalties directly to India's position on the Ukraine war.
First of all, that the US will now supply massively Ukraine with weapons out of the US, not just air defense, also missiles, also ammunition paid for by the Europeans. And secondly, that President Trump said, basically, if Russia is not serious about peace talks, within 50 days, he will slam secondary sanctions on countries like India, China and Brazil. So my encouragement to these three countries particularly is, if you live now in Beijing or in Delhi, or you're the president of Brazil, you might want to take a look into this, because this might hit you very hard. So please make the phone call to Vladimir Putin.
While India has diversified its defense purchases in recent years, buying American aircraft, Israeli missiles, and French submarines, the legacy of Soviet-era systems still runs deep. And India's energy calculus, driven by discounts and long-term contracts, has kept Russian oil flowing into its refineries. To Trump, that's unacceptable. He's also signaled broader penalties for BRICS nations that continue buying Russian oil, potentially drawing India further into a web of economic punishment.
10% charge.
That would be India, Brazil,
That's
Russia,
right, they have
South
to pay
Africa.
10% if they're in BRICS. Because
Right.
BRICS was set up to hurt us. BRICS was set up to degenerate our dollar and take our dollar as the standard, take it off as the standard. And that's okay if they want to play that game, but I can play that game too. So anybody that's in BRICS is getting a 10% charge.
Is that immediate, sir? Or
Yeah,
is that
pretty
if
soon.
they engage in some behavior?
Well, if they're a member of BRICS, they're going to have to pay 10% tariff just for that one thing.
But despite the tariffs and tensions, the US can't afford to alienate India either. American companies are increasingly looking to India as a manufacturing alternative to China. Apple, for instance, is investing billions to scale up iPhone production on Indian soil. Semiconductor and electronic supply chains are being recalibrated. Defense cooperation is at an all-time high. India is hosting Trump for a major defense summit later this year, possibly under the Quad umbrella, and insiders say a bigger deal could emerge from the meeting. For Washington, India remains a critical counterweight to Beijing, both strategically and economically. And for India, access to the US market, its second largest trading partner, is a vital piece of its growth story. Last year, bilateral trades in goods hit $130 billion, with India enjoying a surplus of nearly $46 billion. Much of that comes from high-value exports like medicines, electronics, and auto components. And now, all that hangs in the balance.
25% tariff on India is little disappointing on us. We are constructively engaged with the US on the BTA. We are also not certain what will be the added penalty which he is talking about. But at least now we know that whatever we have to do is with reference to 25%. I think buyer and seller will start negotiating, and to see what extent that can be absorbed. This in any case is for the limited period, and as soon as India culminates the BTA, these rates can be brought down also. So this is a little difficult situation as of now, but I'm sure in a couple of days situation will be much clearer to all of us.
Back in New Delhi, officials are treating a careful line, resisting rushed concessions, but clearly aware of the storm approaching. The optimism is cautious, the clock relentless. The fear, if a deal isn't struck or if the penalties hit full force, Indian businesses could face billions in new costs. Margins will shrink. Orders may shift to cheaper competitors like Vietnam, Indonesia, and the Philippines. the fallout won't just be economic, it'll be political. As the clock ticks towards the August 1st deadline, the world watches. A trade war between allies may just be hours away. But in this delicate dance of diplomacy and dollars, both sides know there's more to lose than just market share. With Rudrashish Kanjilal, Bureau Report, India Today Global.